Paducah, Kentucky. Population 25,000. You know, they were home to a uranium enrichment plant. How would you like that to be your call to fame? You know, and there's the challenge. How's that working for us? And they became the city of crafts and folk art. So where are they located? There they are. They're down there in that little teeny, kind of the panhandle of Kentucky, surrounded by Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, and Tennessee. And to give you a timeline, in 1937, they were decimated by a major flood. It pretty much wrecked the town. As a matter of fact, even today when you go downtown, you can see where the high water marks were. Holy smokes, that's like 5-6 feet up on the wall. I mean, it just knocked them flat. Then in 1950 is when they became known as the Atomic City for that new uranium enrichment plant. You know, which, by the way, it covered a massive area. Look at that, 750 acres, you know, it had 1,100 employees. Well, you know what the challenge was? In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, people started filing lawsuits over the enrichment plant, and it just wasn't working for them long term. And then, of course, in 1989, now we're getting a little closer, they decided, what are we going to do? It was dying. The town was dying. And, you know, they decided to kind of focus on arts. There was a little bit of a foundation there. A couple years later, they became Quilt City. The National Quilt Museum opened up in their downtown. So this was the turning point for them, the tipping point for the new Paducah. And in that quilt museum, I mean, you got to see some of the works of art. I was amazed by these pieces of art in their quilt museum. It's hard to believe these are even quilts. I can't imagine what it took to do the one that you see on the left. And it gets thousands of visitors every day. Pretty amazing. And so with that, 1991, they started working on quilts, but then they decided, you know, we need more than that. And so they decided to do this really cool artist relocation program. They took what they called the Lower Town Historic District, which, by the way, was really, really blighted. It's a 20-square block area. It was drug infested. It was an eyesore. It was dangerous. It was full of dilapidated buildings. Many of them the city ended up owning. And so they decided, let's turn this into Lower Town Arts District. And they did a cool thing. They already had mixed-use zoning, which means you could put a business in a house, so they didn't have to worry about that. You know what they did? They would give people, they would sell houses in that district for $1. You would have to do a proposal of what you were going to do, and you had to be an artist. It had to be an artist in action. You had to give them a proposal of why you deserve to buy a house for $1. And not only were you able to buy a house for $1, they gave you $2,500 in moving expenses, up to that amount, just to get you there. And they would give you $2,500 for architectural professional improvements, like if the roof was leaking or windows were broken, which was the case. So they even helped them get started. And they would give you up to $5,000 for rehabilitation costs of the property to make it suitable for if you're going to have a kiln there, or you need a kitchen work, or you need a place to do, you know, lighting for your studio. And so they gave this. And then what was really cool, the Paducah Bank, a locally owned bank, gave them really generous terms. You know, they didn't say, well, you're an artist, you don't really have a good credit rating. They knew that this was going to the future, and even for the bank. And, by the way, they didn't hammer with a bunch of rules. They gave them a lot of creative autonomy in developing their properties. They could color them up. They could do whatever. So you would go in and you would see signs like this. Look at this, artist wanted. You know, Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh, or Lower Town Paducah, you know, doing these kinds of things to people to buy these homes. Their listings look like this. Look at 1,600 square foot, 2 floors, year 1918, price $1 with a proposal. How cool is that? And so, you know, places like that, you know, this is before, this is after. Pretty cool. And artists just jumped at this. And they started buying these places. They started moving in. And you know what? By 2008, the Paducah School of Art had started. I mean, this all really happened in just 8 years. It just really took off. And it is so cool what they have done. I mean, this downtown is nothing short of amazing. You know, and the School of Arts has people coming from around the world to learn how to do pottery and painting and all these different things. I mean, it is nothing short of amazing. Remember, this is all in 2000, they started the Artist Relocation Program, and by 2008, this was happening in their downtown. And so when you have a focus, it works. And look at this. There's the School of Art. In 2013, they became a UNESCO 7th City of Crafts and Folk Art. There's only 7 in the world. City of Crafts and Folk Art. That is their brand. And you want to know something? Look at their downtown. It is cool. It's amazing. There's no retail vacancies. It is alive and vibrant. You know, these are some of the houses in the Lower Town district. They're full of retail shops now and artisans in action. They have a great public market now in their downtown. And you know, this is the flood wall. And even the flood wall, to keep the river out of downtown, they put up these incredible murals. And in front of every single mural tells about the artist and tells about the painting you'll see there. And their former mayor said this: with the Artist Relocation Program that revitalized Lower Town, the National Quilt Museum of the United States, and the Paducah School of Art, Paducah has become a nationally known cultural center. Very cool. What's new there is the riverfront is being developed. They now do a Lower Town Art and Music Festival. They do barbecue on the river every year, and they do the Paducah Summer Festival. It draws tens of thousands of people. So the bottom line is, look at tourism. They did $66 million spending in 1991. Look at it now. This is less than 20 years later. It went from 66 million to nearly 300 million. That's 2009. I'm sure they're over 300 million now. And the Artist Relocation, they have 234 new artists that came to Paducah. More than 1,000 jobs, and they've received more than $52 million from benefactors for this, and $50 million in public funding to get this thing going. Return on investment, for every dollar they invest in the program, they're seeing $14 return on investment. Wow. Their signature event is the American Quilter Society Quilt Week, you know, which is a 4-day event. And it alone has a $25 million economic impact. And look at this, 40,000 people attended. So that return on a $1 property, since they started that, look at the investment in Lower Town. The average home is now valued at more than $345,000. That is cool.